Hey everyone, I am Pallavi. Welcome to Indian Cooking 101. I'm back with my 3 Indian dishes, so let's get started. So today for the appetizer, I'm gonna be making tandoori chicken. You must have heard of it. It is one of the favorite appetizer in every Indian restaurant and it comes from North India and I'm a North Indian, so it is my favorite and also my family's favorite. And I'm going to show you very simple steps to do it. You can make it in the oven, you can cook it in a barbecue, and it is so easy to make that you are going to love making it. So I have 4 pieces of chicken leg here which I have already washed and cleaned. They are ready to be cooked. And these are the spices that I'm gonna be using. This is red chili powder. You can also use paprika. This is pepper. This is coriander powder, turmeric powder, salt, cumin powder. I have some ginger and garlic here, and I also made a paste of ginger garlic which is easier to be put in the marinade. I have some lemon. I have some butter here for brushing the chicken once it's ready to be put in the oven. This is garam masala. This is an essential for every Indian cooking. It has a blend of different kind of masalas which is a little bit difficult to make at home, so I always prefer buying it. You can easily find it in any Indian store. And this is tandoori masala. It is used for grilling chicken, other kind of meat, vegetables, but I like it on the chicken. It gives a very good flavor on tandoori chicken. And then I have some yogurt. I'm using Greek yogurt, but you can use any kind of yogurt that you like, unflavored yogurt, and some olive oil. So I'm going to start mixing everything here. First I have my yogurt. I'm using Greek yogurt. You can use any yogurt that you like, but make sure you use unflavored yogurt. Next I'm going to be putting some lemon juice in it. I'm squeezing here half a lemon because this lemon is big enough and half a lemon has around 2 tablespoons of juice. Next I'm going to add the ginger garlic paste in it. Now I'm going to add some olive oil. Now let's add all the spices here. This is red chili powder, or you can also use paprika. This is pepper. So you can add it as much as spicy or as hot you want your chicken to be. I'm only using half a tablespoon. Now here is some turmeric powder. This is cumin powder. This is also half tablespoon. Coriander powder, 1 tablespoon. And salt. So the tandoori chicken, once it's cooked, it's supposed to look a little orange in color. So I'm going to add red and yellow food coloring in it to give it a little orange color. You can use any kind of food coloring that you have at home, the coloring used for baking, any cooking color. Now I'm going to be adding my tandoori masala, which is the most important thing for this recipe. And I will add 1.5 tablespoons of that. And then half tablespoon of garam masala. And now let's mix everything up to form an even consistency. And this is how it's gonna look like once it's done. So our marinade mix is ready, and I'm going to start putting chicken in it. But before I put it inside, I'm just going to show you one small thing. We need to make small cuts in the chicken so that the marinade mix and the spices can absorb nicely in the chicken and the flavors are evenly distributed. Like this, just 3 random cuts, 3 or 4. Now I will brush it nicely all over the chicken. And it is much easier to do it with a hand. Now the marinade has distributed evenly all over, and I'm going to put it in the fridge and let it rest for 8 hours. But I have already prepared some chicken which I marinated 8 hours before, so I'm going to show you how it's going to look like after 8 hours. So it has been 20 minutes. It has cooked very well on one side and it smells so good right now. I just took it out quickly so I can brush it with some butter before I put it back in the oven to cook on the other side. And now I'm going to flip it over and put it back in the oven for 20 more minutes so it can cook on the other side as well. And it is ready to go back in the oven. So it has been cooking for 20 more minutes on the other side as well, so a total of 40 to 45 minutes. Now it is done on both the sides and I'm just going to brush with butter on the other side as well. It is ready to be served now. We just need to sprinkle some lemon juice on it. And this is how it's going to look like once everything is done. Now I'm going to serve it in a plate. So this is our tandoori chicken. It's ready to be served and it's finished. Let's move on to the next recipe. So the next dish is palak paneer. Palak means spinach and paneer is cottage cheese. So as you can see the ingredients, this dish is very healthy as it has greens, it has the cheese, so it has proteins. It is very easy to make and it tastes very good. So let's begin. So these are the ingredients that we need. I have some butter and I have some cashews. These are to give it a creamy consistency to the curry. Now here I have red chili powder or paprika. This is turmeric powder, pepper, ginger garlic paste and salt. This is our garam masala, which is a blend of the Indian masalas. This is olive oil. These are the vegetables, onion, which I have finely chopped, tomatoes. This is the cottage cheese, which I have cut into small cubes. And these are the spinach or the saag, which I have washed and it is ready to cook. So let's begin. So I have one tomato which I have cut into 4 parts and I am going to make a puree with it. This is my blender. So I have my tomato pureed. I am going to take it out in a bowl and we will use it later in the curry. First I am going to start preparing the puree of the spinach. So for that I am going to fry it a little bit and add water in it and let it boil. And along with the spinach I have some cashews which I am going to add in it and puree along with the spinach to give the gravy a creamy consistency. So let's start doing it. First I am going to add cashews and let it fry in the oil. Then I will add spinach in that. So the spinach is fried a little in the oil. Now I'll just add water to it and let it boil for a few minutes. So you don't want to add too much water, otherwise the puree will be very runny and so the gravy will be runny. So I'm going to add 2 cups of water to it. So while our spinach is boiling, I am going to get started on the curry. I have a pan ready here and I will add some olive oil to it. So along with the olive oil, I am also going to add some butter to it so that the curry has a rich, creamy consistency. So the butter will take around a minute to melt and warm, and as you can see it is ready now, and I'm going to start putting my chopped onions. I have used red onions here, but you can use any onion that you like, white onion. I usually prepare the Indian dishes with the red onion because it has a little distinct flavor. Smells really good. Our spinach is almost cooked. It has been 5 minutes, and while it gets cooked, I'm going to finish frying my onions and tomatoes. The onions are also almost done. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my ginger garlic paste in it. So as you can see, I use a lot of ginger garlic paste. It is very essential in almost every Indian cooking, not just for the flavor, but also because ginger is very good for digestion. It has a very good anti-inflammatory property, and these are the reasons that we use these things in almost all the dishes. Our spinach is almost done boiling. Now I'm going to turn off the flame and let it cool down for a little bit before we can puree it. Once it's cooled, then we are going to make a puree of it. In the meanwhile, we'll keep making our curry. So the onion and ginger garlic looks cooked now. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the next ingredient on the list, which is the tomato puree that we made before. And along with the tomatoes, I'm also going to go ahead and add my spices into it now. So I'm putting some red chili powder, turmeric powder, pepper powder, and some salt. And the next thing is garam masala powder. Going to stir it and mix everything nicely so it can cook. The masalas and the spices can get cooked along with the tomato. The tomatoes are almost cooked and also our spinach is cooled down. So now I'm going to put it in the blender to blend a paste of it. So this is what the spinach puree along with the cashew looks like. I blended it for about 5 minutes and it is just in time for our tomatoes. The tomatoes and spices are done and now I'm going to go ahead and put this into the pan. The spinach puree is going to boil for around 10-15 minutes now. So you can always check for the salt level at the end. I don't like to put a lot of salt in the beginning because it's going to boil and it's going to evaporate and it will become lesser and lesser. So it's always a good idea to check the salt at the end and then put it according to your taste. And it has been boiling for a few minutes now. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my paneer cubes into it, so that they can boil along with the gravy. So I've added the paneer pieces and now I lowered the flame so it can boil with the gravy, and I will cover it and leave it for a few minutes. So our curry has been cooking on a low flame for 5 minutes now, and I'm going to go ahead and check it. This looks almost done. The paneer pieces have softened, so they are cooked, and I'm just going to leave it for 2 more minutes so the curry can get the good flavor along with the paneer. So let's cover it and wait for a few more minutes. So it's been a few more minutes and let's see how we are doing. This looks perfect. The curry has mixed very nice. The paneer pieces have become soft and they have mixed with the curry, and it has a very good color. Now it is ready to be served. Now I'm going to start serving it in my plate. It can serve up to 3 to 4 people. So our palak paneer is done. It's ready to be served. You can enjoy it with a side of rice or bread or naan or butter naan, garlic naan, whatever kind of naan you like. Or you can also eat it without any side dish. So let's move on to the next recipe, and that is desserts. And for desserts today, I'm going to be making gulab jamun. You must have heard of gulab jamun, you must have even tasted it. And as we say in India, an Indian meal is never complete without a gulab jamun. So let's begin. So let's go over the ingredients that we are going to be using for this. And the gulab jamun can be a little tricky to make and require a number of ingredients like all-purpose flour, baking powder, but I came up with a shortcut for you. You can make it using a pancake mix, which is very easily available and it is accessible in almost every kitchen. So let's see what other ingredients we use. I have some milk here. This is ricotta cheese. These are chopped nuts. You can use any kind of nuts that you like. I have a mix of different kind of nuts here. This is cardamom powder, which is only for the fragrance. These are few strands of saffron, sugar. This is my pancake mix and some oil for frying. So I will start with making the sugar syrup first. So by the time the sugar syrup is boiling, we can go ahead and make our dough. So for the syrup, I have 2 cups of water here. Now I'm going to add sugar to it. I'm going to be adding around 1 cup of sugar to it. Next, I'm going to add a few strands of saffron to it. And this is one of my favorite thing in gulab jamun, cardamom powder. It gives a very good fragrance. Now while our sugar syrup is boiling, let's go ahead and make the dough. I will start with the pancake mix. So I am taking around 1 cup of pancake mix. To this I am going to add 2 spoons of ricotta cheese. And the next thing is milk. I am going to use milk to make the dough. So make sure you add milk in very small batches. Our batter or our dough should not be too soft. It has to be of a medium consistency so that we can make it into small balls which can be fried. I'm going to add very little milk into this first. And as you can see, I added just a spoon of milk and it's almost done. We don't need more of milk. In place of ricotta cheese, some people also like to add condensed milk. You can try condensed milk. You can also try it with a dry milk or milk powder. But I think it's best with the ricotta cheese. And in the meantime, our sugar syrup is almost ready. We added 2 cups of water and it has boiled down to almost 1.5 cups. So it has a good consistency now. It smells really good because of the cardamom powder. Now we are going to pour it in a tray and then we can dip our gulab jamuns in it once they are fried. So the dough is ready and it has some baking properties because it is made with pancake mix. So I'm going to allow it to set for a few minutes, 10 minutes, and I covered it with a plastic so it doesn't lose the moisture in it. And in the meantime, I'm going to pour my sugar syrup. So while our dough is setting, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the wok for frying. So this is what I'm going to be using for frying, and I have vegetable oil, but you can use any kind of oil that you like. And some people also like to air fry it. If you want to do that, you can try that. So I've added around a cup of oil here, and it depends on how much gulab jamuns you are going to make. Since we had 1 cup of the pancake mix, this is how much our dough looks like, and a cup of oil is enough to fry that. So while the oil is heating, let's go ahead and make the balls for frying. So the trick with making the balls is that they need to be really small in size, because once we put it in the oil for frying, they are going to almost double in size. And then once we put it in the sugar syrup, they are again going to increase in size. So I'm going to make them very small. Plus they should not have any cracks on them, otherwise they are just going to splatter in the oil. So this is the size of a ball that I am making. This is how big it should ideally look like. So I have my balls here ready and I'm going to put them in the pan for frying. Once the oil is hot, you might want to reduce the flame so that the balls can get fried completely nicely. If you fry it on a very high flame, they might look fried on the outside, but they don't get fried on the inside, and when you're eating it, you might feel like a little sticky in the end. So we want them to get fried nicely. So the key is heating the oil on a high flame and then reducing the flame once you put the balls inside. So this is how it should look like once it's done, and as I said, it's already increased in size. This is done now and I'm going to just pop it directly into my sugar syrup. It shows that it has been fried nicely on the outside as well as on the inside. So that is the reason we always want to make them very small in size in the beginning. So I'm just flipping the ones which are already soaked, and these look so good. So these gulab jamuns are almost ready, and you can see how easy and quick it is to make. And I know people who like to eat it as an entree or as an appetizer. They don't wait for it towards the end of the meal. Me personally, I just like to eat one or two towards the end of the meal, because as I said, an Indian meal is not complete until there is gulab jamun. But yes, I know a lot of people who love it so much that they make a meal of gulab jamun. So I have my chopped nuts here which I'm going to garnish, but I will do that at the end, maybe after 30 more minutes, once the balls have soaked into the sugar syrup nicely, and then it will be ready to be served. So our gulab jamuns have been soaking for 30 minutes and I can see that they have soaked really nicely into the sugar syrup. And now let's go ahead and garnish them with these nuts. So this is how it looks like. And it is ready to be served. So these are the 3 dishes that we made today. I hope you had fun watching it. I had fun cooking it. Do try it. Until next time, bye bye, namaste.